Thank you, Chris. I'm probably going to do that a lot. I like to have this microphone off. Friends, welcome. I could do that for a long time, just kind of noodling away there. But alas, so I want to get to some questions for you guys. And welcome. If you've never been one of these live webcasts, then thank you for joining and for trusting me with your time. I promise we're going to get to a lot of really good stuff today. Your questions, most of all. I would like to address them specifically. I'm going to tell you a quick little story here about how I met Vince Gill and I got to see all his amazing guitars. It was a happenstance situation. And yeah, I'm going to tell you all about it, and we're going to get straight to questions. So Instagram's watching today, Facebook and YouTube. And like last week we did the Les Paul giveaway. That was a lot of fun. This week we're working on talking to John Scott with Bluesman Guitar, talking about putting that my custom guitar together, which you guys are going to see a bit about. Also talking with Mark Kerr from Kertronics about the dual overdrive pedal that we've been working on for quite some time. So lots of really good stuff in the works. I'm very excited. We had some other bits and pieces that are going on too. Spoke with Papa Stash a couple days ago, and he's planning on being on the show in February. And we got some other fun things planned for you. So if you're new to this, then welcome. You're going to have a blast. Okay? Really quickly, before we begin, please, friends, share this. Why? Because number one, sharing is caring, and what you're doing by sharing it is letting me know that you appreciate the time that I'm spending with you for free, showing you some stuff, telling you some stuff about guitar, and giving you resources that you can absorb for free. I just looked the other day, we have over 150,000 people in the free course. Why is that cool? Because that's people all over the planet. They're actually learning how to play the guitar step by step by step. It's absolutely free and it's there for you. The link for that's in the description of this video. With that being said, if you share this video, there's a much, much, much bigger course called the Unstoppable Guitar System that is available. We gave 5 of these away last week. Okay, 6 of them away, actually. So, with that being said, we're going to give another one away today, this week, I should say, for those folks that share the video in some capacity. We always pick one winner. So, your chances of winning are quite high if you're watching these broadcasts all the time, because we give so much stuff away. Okay, so please do that right now, like and all that good stuff. And I said Instagram, Facebook, all those folks are watching, but I won't be getting into questions on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube only. Here we go. I'm going to start over on YouTube, and then I'll bop back over to Facebook. If you got any questions, now is the way to do it. Now's the time to do it, okay? And friends, please put a question mark after the question, because if not, I'm not going to see the question. Cool? All right. All right. Anybody have a 339? No, I do not have a 339, although the 335 is next on my radar. Do I still have my first guitar? Noah's asking. I do still have my first guitar. It was a Barclay. I don't even know. I've never seen that name, Barclay. It's the cheapest guitar ever. Somebody just donated $5. That's really super kind. Who is this? Thrash Metal again. Thank you, my friend. If you saw Sage teaching in the street, would you give $1? Oh, thank you, Thrash Metal. Thrash Metal's the guy that started folks donating money on here, so that's really kind. And Mike and Chris sitting in the other room, very, very hungry, hardworking men, and we use this money to go eat lunch. So thank you very much for that. Super kind, buddy. So I do have my first guitar still. It's an acoustic. It's in the attic actually, and it's absolutely in terrible condition. It was never really a good guitar, but it was what kind of excited me about playing guitar. Just bare bones. It might as well have been a string on a broomstick, because that's how good the intonation is on it, or not good. I always want to know why people make guitar faces while playing. For the same reason they make guitar faces while doing other things that are quite emotional, is that it's just your emotions are being expressed. So if you're laughing or doing whatever, anything that's emotional, you might make some faces. That's why they do that, you know. It's like you're reaching for notes and you're feeling it, you know. Especially blues, it tends to happen a lot. Anything when you're bending too, any notes bent seems to happen a lot. All right, good stuff. what's the backing track that you were playing on hold? The backing track, Bremnet, the backing track that we were playing on hold is a backing track that we have within the Unstoppable Guitar System. We've got nearly 600 jam tracks in there now, and that was one of them. So we've got some jazz, some blues, some rock, reggae, maybe country, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, lots of them inside the Unstoppable Guitar System. All right, and I'm scanning these really quickly. If I don't see a question mark, I'm not addressing it because there's no way I could read all these, right? Who else is playing to this backing track while waiting, right? It's fun, isn't it? What is the average number of guitars people own? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Probably 2? Would be my guess. Hey, it's our friend Climber 7565. Hello, Eric. Thank you for all you do. Your kindness and generosity, generous heart. Love your teaching in the UGS, and all the materials are amazing. Thank you so much. Climber, thank you, buddy. So kind of you. If you're wondering why I'm reading those comments, they're the ones that are popping up where folks are donating, and it gets my attention, and I can say, hey, cool. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, and I said I was going to tell you about Vince Gill, and I just jumped to questions right away. Wow, that was not cool. Okay, so yeah, let me tell you about Vince Gill, and then I'll jump over to some questions on Facebook. Okay, so a happenstance meeting with Vince Gill. So one of my Unstoppable Guitar System students mentioned that he was going to be in Nashville. Apparently he's like some chiropractor to the stars or something, to like Vince Gill and other folks like that. And he introduced himself online, says he was going to be coming in town and adjusting someone in Nashville. He didn't tell me who it was or anything. He just said, show up at this address and I'll give you an adjustment. And I said, oh, cool. I'm always up for that. I love chiropractors and all sorts of alternative medicine. It's really, really good stuff. Anyhow, so I show up there at this place, and I pull up, and it's in a very, very affluent neighborhood. It's in Belmead, Tennessee, or Belmead, which is a section of Nashville. And the houses there are all really fat. And when I pulled up, there was a putting green in the front yard, like literally a legit putting green. It was big enough to be a putting green, to call it a putting green. There might have been a little hill. It was in the yard. It was in the front yard. And I was like, wow, whoever this is has some money to actually put a putting green in their front yard. That costs some money, upkeep and all that stuff, right? So I didn't really think anything of it. There's so many famous people here in Nashville. I'm not like trying to guess, right? It could be anybody. So I'm just there. And I didn't necessarily think it was anybody famous. I knew it was somebody who had some money. So I'm sitting there, I get my adjustment done, all the rest. And my friend doesn't tell me who this is. And I'm just sitting there, and out comes Vince Gill. Obviously just woke up. He's in his sweatpants and a white t-shirt, which apparently is like what he wears all the time. And he says, hey, how you doing? I'm Vince, and extends his hand. Super sweet guy. And I was like, yeah, I know who you are. If you don't know who Vince Gill is, he's an amazing guitar player, an amazing singer, an amazing songwriter, award-winning ninja of music here in Nashville. And since he was like a fetus, he's been making music, and phenomenal, sweet, kind dude. Anyhow, all that to say, was totally blown away to meet him. Super kind. Meet a lot of famous people here in Nashville, and you don't really want to make them feel uncomfortable. So I just was like, oh, dude, good to meet you, and I know who you are, and that sort of thing. And then later on, after my adjustment, he was sitting in his studio, I think with one of his boys, and he invited me back to his studio, which is this mammoth studio. It was beautiful. And he knew that I played guitar because I taught my buddy. And he said, what kind of guy are you? You like Telecasters or Strats or Les Pauls or what? And I'm like, man, I honestly, obviously, I like it all. So I said, I'm a Strat guy, but I love Les Pauls, I love Tellys, I love Gretches, all. And so I said, show me some of your favorites. And literally, this guy this is how he had his guitars. They were in drawers, okay? The room Well, this room that I was in was probably 20 feet by 30 feet. Okay, so you do this math here. So, right, 40 feet of wall, 60 feet of wall, so at least 100 feet of wall, right? Drawers that were the size of a guitar, this big, this long, right? 5 high, and in each drawer there were 2 guitars. So I'm looking at one thing like this. What's that? 3 feet? We'll just say 4 feet. Let's do the math. 25 feet around the room, 5 high. What's that? 125 drawers times 2 guitars. Is that right? Yeah, that's probably about right. So probably somewhere around 250 guitars in this room. And these were not just like throwaway guitars. These were guitars like 67 Les Pauls and 65 Stratocasters and Gretches, and I was out of my mind, needless to say, because he had all these great guitars, and he knows what a good guitar is, so these were all like cream of the crop type stuff. And I was saying to him, wow, like your collection here is just phenomenal. And he said that that these were the ones that were saved from the flood. I don't know if you guys remember, but I think it was in, I don't know what year it was, 2010 maybe? I don't know what year, 2013? I don't know what year it was. We had a massive flood here in Nashville, like crazy flooding, and a lot of vintage instruments were lost because they were at a place called SIR here in Nashville. It's a place where people rehearse and they store their equipment and what have you. Then when they go rehearse, they're being taken care of, the guitars are being taken care of and everything, and they're ready. Anyhow, this place flooded massively. Guitars were floating. And Vince said that he had gotten about 3/4 of his guitars out of there, and that's what we were looking at the time. The other quarter of them got lost. And what we were looking at, are you ready, was $2.1 million worth of guitars. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. It was like Guitar Center, just the vintage section on crack. It was amazing. So anyhow, that was my meeting with Vince, and he was a super swell guy. Really sweet, just like play any guitar you want, and super warm, and everything that you would think, right? Just a super cool dude. All right, so that's my story there, meeting Vince, and yeah. So I'm gonna jump to some questions here on Facebook. You can ask me questions about the meeting or anything about guitars. So here you go. So Mike is saying, what does the minor scale, I don't remember which one, have different notes descending than ones ascending? Mike, that's called the melodic minor. The melodic minor, let me see if I remember this correctly. When it's ascending, the 6th and the 7th notes, I believe, are sharp. And then when you're descending, they are normal. They're flat. They're flattened. So a sharp 6 and a sharp 7. Now, with that being said, if I have that wrong, then it's just the other way around. But if you want to know more about that, you're going to want to look melodic minor. Okay. Here, if you had to choose between a Fender Stratocaster and Telecaster, which would you own and for what reasons? Evan, you know, it depends. You don't see me play the Telecaster very often because I don't really love the bridge pickup in this, but I do love the neck pickup, and that's what I was playing the majority of the time because to me it sounds like an old Strat. And I'm not much of a country player. I don't desire to be, and it's just not in my heart. So I love that sound, and I love that people can do it really well, but I'm just not that guy. So to me, the sound of a Tele played country style is not really my thing. It's more like I love Teles the way they're played in rock and roll, punk, and those sorts of things. And for that reason, I think, honestly, the Telecaster is probably more versatile because that you just heard just now, it sounded much like a Strat, but then I could plug this in and play rock. You can play heavy metal with them. You can play all manner of music with a Telecaster. But with a Stratocaster, you just have kind of that raw sound that you heard just now as I was kind of noodling there. Yeah. Scott, how do you make a donation? Scott, folks are making the donation over on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you can look in the bottom left corner. There's like a little thing, a little like money sign thing. And that's how you would do that, okay? There's like right next to a little smiley face. That's how folks are doing that. Okay, got to that. Oh, you guys are fun. All right. Sometimes I just read these comments. I'm not reading them out loud, but you guys have fun little snarky things to say. Yeah, Vince Gill, sweet dude, Roddy. Which is the best to follow on Facebook or YouTube? I think YouTube is probably better just because it's a little bit more active, but other than that, I think it's pretty much the same. I'm a beginner player with ulnar nerve damage in my fretting hand. I don't know what that is. Sorry. I've just learned the 9 basic chords and can play them pretty well. I want to get more coordination out of my pinky, so instead of using fingers 1, 2, and 3, can I alternate it between fingers 2, 3, and 4? Yes, the more you use it, the better it's going to become. For chords like A sharp, E sharp, and so forth. Yes, you can, Flynn, and in fact, I would highly encourage you to, especially if you are trying to develop that finger. So friends, this is something that you need to know, and for those that know this already, it's going to seem a bit like, okay, that's really elementary information, but I promise you, here you go. This information is so important that you really truly embrace this. Don't just listen to this, but understand it and apply it to your playing. Whatever you do, even if it feels foreign, okay, whatever you do, if you do it enough times, it won't feel foreign. You will develop a habit. Good, bad, or indifferent. This is just a fact, okay? So I'm saying this develops bad habits, it develops good habits. But whatever you do often will become habitual. Or it will lean more to becoming a habitual whatever it is that you do, okay? No judgment, it's just a fact. So if you practice something wrong over and over and over again, then you're going to get great at doing something wrong. If you practice something right, the more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it. It's just science. This is not even arguable. Okay, this is just the way our brain works. That being said, you can do things like if you're a right-handed person like I am, you can brush your teeth with your left hand, and what that will do is that will develop synapses and all sorts of bits and pieces, nerves and muscles and everything else that will help you to do that better with your left hand. Same thing with any sort of anything that you do, whatever you practice. If you practice guitar the other way around, it's going to help that. You're going to be able to develop that. It's impossible to not develop whatever it is that you're working on. Impossible. And I stand so firmly on that. You would have to have a computer brain for you not to be able to learn. And guess what? Now we have computers learning with AI. So with that being said, it's absolutely impossible. If a daggone computer can learn through AI, trust me, anything that you apply yourself to, if you constantly do it, you're going to learn it, okay? If you quit, then obviously you won't, okay? How do you, this is a question from Evan, how do you break up your daily practice routine and how do you balance practice on techniques or theory along with learning songs? Evan, so I used to break up my day like that, and I'm finding that more and more now, I'm not sure if it's because of who I am as a player now and being older and what have you, but I'm finding that the way that I practice now is much more advantageous, and I learn a lot more by doing what I do now, which is what I call going down the rabbit hole, woodshedding. For instance, lately here I've been practicing lots of major blues. That's what I was doing just now. Lots of major blues mixed with minor blues, that sort of thing. I've been practicing that a lot lately. It's always been a weak point in my playing. We all have weak points, and there's no player that doesn't have a weak point. I don't care who it is, name the guitar player, they've got weak points. I could probably tell you what they are, or what they probably are. So everybody has weak points. For me, that's one of many weak points that I've got and that I'm working on. And I'm going to get better at it because I'm focusing on it and I'm drilling down. That, Evan, is the way that I would suggest for you to practice. So whatever it is that you're excited about, just eat, drink, sleep that, immerse yourself in that, and get really good at that. Because when we learn like that, we don't forget. That thing's done. Let's move on to something else. But if we just kind of chip one little chip away here, one little chip away, one little chip away, we never really get deep into understanding concepts and stuff like that. You really have to take the time and go deep. Go down the rabbit hole. And don't be afraid of working really hard at whatever it is that you're trying to get good at, okay? I use Martin strings. Would you recommend other strings? Nope. Those are good strings. Does the UGS teach scales? Yes, but I am beginning. They seem confusing. They're not, if you understand and follow my method, understand, what a major scale is, what that means, how it builds chords and all that stuff. And I talk all about that stuff, okay? All right. Okay, sweet. I got to the questions on Facebook. Now let's go. Whoa, Jared Harrison just gave $20. Jared, dude, that is super kind. We already have lunch money for today, guys. Jared, and guess what? Thank you, Jared. You literally are the person who's given the most money during this thing. We don't ask for money, but it's really cool. And Jared, literally, we've never had someone donate $20. So that is super duper kind, Jared. I really, truly appreciate that. Jared, hopefully you are in the free program, if not Unstoppable Guitar System, but in the free program at least, because I'd like to talk to you in there. That's super kind of you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to jump to some questions here on YouTube. So, and again, I'm looking for, okay, Jimmy Page has a weak point. Blasphemer. I know. Okay, so here you go. So let's talk about Jimmy Page. Do you think that that Jimmy Page was a kick-ass chicken picker, country chicken picker? Or how do you think his classical guitar technique was? Because this, my friends, is not classical guitar. He's using some of those techniques, but that's not classical guitar. Okay, that's it is what it is. Jimmy Page, well, what kind of jazz player was he? Okay. If you listen to old Zeppelin stuff, you'll hear some floaty time stuff. I'm not sure who that was, but nonetheless, the whole band was they floated a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. It's Zeppelin and it's, right? But I'm just saying, it floated a little bit. And some people would say that that might even be better, right? That it had more feel. But nonetheless, right, Page can't play Lamb of God. Right, you take a guitar player, like take Yngwie Malmsteen, one of my favorites. Take Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of my favorites. Put them in a Nashville studio doing a session today, right now. Set them up with all their gear, put the chart in front of them, and they're going to play a cheesy-ass country song that you don't like, that you make fun of. Nothing wrong with that. I think there's a lot of country music that needs to be made fun of. Then there's a lot of stuff that's amazing. But put some, I don't know, Florida Georgia Line, and put one of these guys in the studio and say, go, we're going to record this song, and then take a guy who you've never ever heard of, who plays all the sessions here in Nashville, and see who does better. And I'd put $100,000 on the studio guy, not on Stevie Ray Vaughan or Yngwie Malmsteen's, because that's not what they put their attention on. And this here, friends, there's a lesson right here. Whatever you focus your attention on is what you're gonna be good at. If you like to focus your attention on lots of different things like I do, then you can be pretty good at a lot of different things, but chances are you're not going to excel and be a beast at one particular thing. Take Yngwie Malmsteen, for example. He focuses on neoclassical electric guitar playing on a Fender Telecaster guitar through a Marshall amp. Like, forget about other amps, forget about other guitars, forget about anything other than neoclassical. He can play the heck out of blues, by the way, but it's still, he slips into that neoclassical, but he knows blues really well. But that said, that's what he does. That's what he does the best. And he's amazing at it. Take Stevie Ray Vaughan and put a classical guitar in his hand, you're not going to have a good sound, probably. Chances are, Tom, thank you so much. Super kind. I appreciate that, buddy. Boy, we just got dessert, guys. Woo. Have I ever had Tim Pierce as a guest? That would be amazing. No, I would love to have Tim Pierce. I don't think he comes to Nashville very often. Yeah, Papa knows Tim, and they do a lot of stuff because I believe he's somewhere out in L.A., Well, what would I say Jimi Hendrix's weak point was? Now, I know this is like really treading on some toes here. But again, Jimi Hendrix, right? Jimi Hendrix, from my understanding, didn't have a lot of theoretical background, so he played a lot by ear. He was really well versed in the blues, but not even so much as, say, like B.B. King or Stevie Ray Vaughan or somebody like that. He did his own thing, and he did his own thing best. That's why people are always trying to get that Jimmy sound, and they're always like, God, how did he do that? Well, it's because all he did was focused on his own artistry, what he did, Same thing, Jimi Hendrix. I don't know if he was probably a kick-ass classical player. You know, jazz, never heard him play it. So, you know. All right, good. That's good stuff. And it's really, again, there's a great lesson in there, and it's just like you specifically can be better than anybody else at a particular something. Find out what that thing is, and it may be a combination of things. I know folks, so my wife sucks at guitar. She would not mind me saying that. And I mean, when I say she sucks at guitar, she doesn't suck at guitar. She's just got to one place, which is the bare basics, and she can do them excellently, by the way, with her guitar that only has 5 strings that she plays left-handed upside down in a open C minor tuning. Okay, it's really, really bizarre, but it just works for her. She came up with it, or her dad came up with it, and that's the way she writes songs. Okay, she has she's sold like a few million records in her songs on a few million albums. So I'm not going to argue with her how she writes a song. I don't have that many songs on albums, not nearly anything close to anything like that. So she just plays the way she plays. So she doesn't have to be this amazing guitar player, but what she is really good at writing songs and knowing what chords should go where, what sounds right, and all that good stuff. So whatever it is that you are to bring the world is, it could be one thing that you're really good at. Stevie Ray Vaughan, insane blues player. Wow, and he was a great performer, and he was a great vocalist. So if he was just a great guitar player, we may not know Stevie Ray Vaughan like we know him today, but he was a great frontman, a great vocalist. He died tragically. There's a lot of things that make him what he is, but one of the best blues players to ever exist, right? Obviously, that's subjective. But find out what it is that you want to do. Go after that thing. Maybe it's just to be a campfire guitar player. And when I say just, I don't mean anything bad by that. I mean, that's great. We need that. Or maybe it's to be a worship leader. We need that. We need all manner of different types of guitar players. We need folks who are just going to kind of flank away and play this or that or the other thing. But not get in too deep. You know what I'm saying? Mike Hare, thank you for all you do in the support of the veterans. The guitar saved my soul. Love that, Mike. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for the donation. So kind of you. And I agree with you, Mike. The guitar has saved my soul many times and probably might have even saved my life once or twice. So I know that sounds weird. I'd have to get into the story, which I'm not going to do today. But amazing stuff. At least it kept me going. Music is a beautiful thing. Do you have an instructional video on how to set up your amp? David, on YouTube, if you search YourGuitarSage tone, and by the way, when I say that, YourGuitarSage whatever, YourGuitarSage Van Halen, YourGuitarSage Elvis, YourGuitarSage Chords, YourGuitarSage Scales, YourGuitarSage tone, you're going to find videos, okay? That's where you want to look on YouTube. Okay, TC, $5. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for your help, Eric. You've helped me for 4 years now. I owe you a drink. Travis, thank you, Travis. I'll take you up on that, buddy. So kind. So yes, I do have videos for that. And David, inside of the system, I literally have entire sections devoted to tone, devoted to getting sound from your amp, and talking about solid state versus tube, and talking about certain picks and certain cables and certain pedals, certain guitars, like all those different paintbrushes that we can use to construct our sound. Very important to know these things and to get an education in it. Everybody starts at ground zero, so guess what? We all start at the starting line. So no one gets an advantage. You got to start somewhere. Don't feel bad that you don't know anything. I've been playing for something like 35 years. The amount that I don't know about guitars, at least in regards to models and what makes this sound and that sound and the other thing, is probably less than what it should be for as long as I've been playing. But I'm playing catch up because I've always been, again, focused on playing, and specifically playing other people's music and playing it spot on. That's one thing I feel like if I could bring one thing to the table, it's that, and being able to teach. As a guitar player and improvising and stuff like that, I need a lot of work in that area, in my opinion. But I do have videos, all sorts of videos for that. How do I see the future of guitar music? I don't know. I'm thinking that it's been a while since there's been a kind of a comeback, like Joe Satriani in the '80s and Joe Bassamano's doing some cool stuff and what have you. But I mean, like a pop song. I'm waiting for that to happen, for someone to come out with something really cool, like a really cool killer pop song that's literally just an instrumental. It's just I feel like the music business is literally, or music that we could really appreciate something like that if it was done right. Why do we have no minor 4 and minor 5? That's a great question. So the chords, let's play guitar. I'm going to try to explain this very quickly. As you guys know, sometimes, like for instance with a surgeon, if you're going to have your heart operated on, you don't want that guy to have taken a 2-week course. You want him to have gone through the whole gamut of learning how to use his scalpel and stuff, right? Yeah. So there's things that sometimes you can't answer in just one little nugget. But I'm going to attempt to do it, and I'm going to tell you how to get the information that's really going to tell you this, because it's longer than what I'm going to be able to tell you here. The scale, the major scale. That's A major. Those notes, if we were to go 1, a 3, and a 5, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, we take the notes from the scale, and we just play the 1, the 3, and the 5. That creates a major chord. And we take the 2, the 4, and the 6. That creates a minor chord. If we take the 3, 5, 7, it creates a minor chord. If we take the 4, 6, 8, that creates a major chord. And the next one creates a major chord. And the next one creates a minor chord. And then a diminished chord. So the way the chords work in every major key, if you're following the scale and the fingerprint of music, I'm going to be doing some videos on this, and it's going to blow your guys' minds, because you're going to go, I didn't know that was there. It's always there. There are fingerprints of music everywhere. So we have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and major again. It's what naturally occurs on the fretboard because of the major scale. That's the short answer. If you want to really know about that, I have a whole series for that inside the Unstoppable Guitar System. Which Gretsch is to my left? This is a 6120, Patrick. Yes. It's a 59, a real 59. I'm so pleased to have it. TC just gave $4.99. Thank you so much, my friend. Oh, okay. I mentioned you earlier, Travis. Thank you so much, buddy. So kind of you. And James Miller just gave $4.99. Thank you, guys. That's really kind. So appreciate it. I also want to improve my improvisation and overall knowledge so I can play by ear more rather than learning songs from tablature. What path would you like to take to get there? Evan, let's talk about this for a minute, because I mentioned this before, that improvisation, what I was doing just now, right? It's where we have a track, we know what key is being played, I know the chords that are being played. It's not the first time I've ever heard that chord progression, right? And the knowledge of, okay, well, what notes might work over those chords is very, very helpful, because it's as if we're having a conversation. The chords are talking. Maybe this is let's think about it like this. A guy or girl, whatever you are, you're going to meet someone, a mate, okay? And you want to get to know them, right? And so you're trying to find out information about them. You could think about them as the chord progression. Well, once you find out that information, you're going to be able to converse with them better, right? Well, same thing is true with music. When we have chords playing, those chords dictate what notes should be played over them, or what's going to work and what's not going to work. Call them rules, call whatever you want. If you want to break the rules, cool, you can do it. You can also just go up to somebody as you're meeting them and just say whatever, burp and everything else, and it's not going to go well for you, okay? So yeah, you can try to do it that way. Good luck. Otherwise, do it the right way, find out what's happening with the chords or whoever it is that you're talking about, and then create the melodies and what have you around that, okay? So my suggestion to you, Evan, would be to, like, for instance, if you're learning blues, get in a good blues course, okay? I've got lots of blues stuff. I'm getting ready to do a 101, like start from ground zero literally teach you how to play major and minor blues, understand all the nuances in it. I'm assembling this new master course, if you will. Get in a good course that teaches blues. I teach tons of blues inside UGS already, but this is a different take on it, if you will, okay? So do that, and then understand how to use basically what's happening with the chords there. A lot of people think, okay, I have the blues scale, now I can play blues. No, not necessarily. If you're a rock player, that's the way we think, and it's the kiss of death if you want to play a blues, because it just won't sound right. You got to think differently, okay? Okay, is practicing too much bad? No, there's no such thing. 8 hours a day. Is it not healthy for learning? No, it's extremely healthy for learning. The more you practice, the more healthy it is for learning. Improvisation, would John Petrucci or attend a concert of Jimi Hendrix? What do you like to have? I would plan both of them. Get a calendar and schedule them. Do both of them. What about a jazz archtop guitar? What about it, Frank? They're cool. Do I believe will exist? Do you believe will exist a band like the Beatles? I'm sorry, Bianca, I don't understand the question to that. Do you believe will exist a band? Oh, do I believe that there'll ever be another band like the Beatles? I think that technically there are some bands that are. And by the way, before I say this, the Beatles are my favorite band. Okay. I would just have to say it's the Beatles. So I'm not saying this from any perspective other than they're probably my favorite band. Got lots of favorites, but if I could just pick one, they were the most prolific and the most consistent and everything else. So I love them. But I think that there are bands that are the Beatles of today, if you will, but you're just not going to hear of them because there's just so many great musicians anymore, great bands, and it's just going to get more and more like that, you know. So I think that I believe that there will be others, and there are others, you know. Sharif, oh, Eric, I appreciate you, man. Well, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. Super kind of you. These donations are such a surprise and so cool, and it makes this big old like highlight on the screen everybody can see, and it's just super cool. I love it. I thank you guys for doing it. Please explain modes in an easy way. Okay. So I'll do it in a nutshell, but it's not going to make sense to you. Okay, this is why people want this to be explained. Hashim, the first thing I would say is, how much do you love jazz? If you don't love jazz, don't worry about the modes. People think that the modes, if you know the modes, that all of a sudden you're going to be unlocking music in some beautiful way that no one else has ever thought of yet. And the truth is, it's just not true. Not at all is it going to sound like that, and not at all are you going to unlock the keys to the universe. It literally is just taking the scale and playing it a different way. That being said, it depends on what chords being played for what scale or what mode you should use. I'm going to make this really simple because I'm going to make this short, but it's not going to explain it to you. I promise. There's no one that can explain this simply and you get it. Just can't be done. Here's the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. If we play the scale from 1 to 1, I have A major, okay? If I play it from 2 to 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, 2. Now I have B Dorian, okay? And I could do this with each scale step. 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5, etc., etc. Each one of those becomes its own scale form, okay? Now, just played like that, the way I'm doing it, it's technically all the same notes. So again, we need some sort of concept, like a chord progression, for the form to become something different. I know I'm going over people's heads right now. Ignore this part if I'm going over your head. Don't get scared. I'm not expecting anybody, but maybe 1% of you to even get this concept, okay? But for kicks and giggles, we're doing it. So if I take one of those forms, like that Dorian, okay, which goes, and I start it on the A, right? Now I have the Dorian scale. As opposed to the A major scale. So if I'm playing an A minor chord, That's all Dorian there. But if it was a major chord, then it works over that chord. So it really depends on what is being played, okay? Okay, good. What's your idea on working on stage presence? Work on it. Get on stage. Know your instrument really, really well before you're working on your stage presence, because if you're not playing well and you have great stage presence, well, no one, like, I'd rather you just play well, okay? And I think most people would rather that too. But once you get to such a level, I was watching Stevie Ray Vaughan the other day. This was one of his last performances in Texas, and his stage presence was just phenomenal. It was just off the chain. But he didn't miss a note, In fact, there was one point where he broke a string in the middle of a solo, kept playing. You could hardly even tell that the string was broken, except you saw it hanging. Didn't even flinch. He gets to the end of the solo, keeps singing, looks over his right shoulder. And I forgot the guy's name now, but his tech sees him signal, comes out with another guitar. They put it on, and he doesn't miss a lick. It's crazy. So things like that aren't developed overnight. That's just becoming so confident, and the only way to become confident is to be really, 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 really good at what you do. I take that back. I've seen people be extremely confident and absolutely incompetent, and it's such an embarrassment for them. I've seen this on TV. I've seen it in person. When you have somebody who's so egoic and they're just like, well, I'm just going to think positive, and I'm going to be this, that, and the other thing, but they don't have the substance to back it up. Oh boy, that's a recipe for disaster. So believing in yourself is really important, but believing in yourself without doing all the work is worthless. You might as well not believe in yourself then, okay? If you're not going to do the work. So stage presence has to do with being really confident because you've worked on all your stuff, and when you step on stage, you're like, what up? I own the stage. Everybody wants to see that too. They want to see that too. I don't know about you. We don't want to see someone who gets on stage and has an ego per se, but we want them to have a swagger. We want them to be Mick Jagger, right? When he does his walk and all that stuff, man, we're like, yeah, you own the stage. We don't want to see some guy getting up there being like this. I'm gonna play a song for you today. And then we're going to be like, come on, dude, you're wasting my time. We want to be moved. So don't be afraid of getting on stage and slaying heads. Okay? Do it. That's what we want. We want that. If I go see a show, I want to go, what in heaven's name did I just watch? That was amazing. You know what I mean? So do that. But do that through skill, not through ego, because that looks goofy on stage when people do that. It's embarrassing. It's the only guy who doesn't know that he sucks is the guy who's on stage. What's your advice or ideas to work on better stage presence on working live performance when pressure is on and you only have one chance to get it right? That's what I mentioned just there. Okay. Skill or guitar tone? What has more impact on a musician? Skill, obviously. Guitar tone, we mentioned this yesterday. I'd rather listen to a great guitar player with poor tone and poor equipment than a guitar player who's not saying anything, is poor playing and is running through $30,000 amp and all the bells and whistles and a 59 Les Paul for $300,000. I don't care. It's not going to make them sound any better. It's really not. If he can't play a lick, it's not going to make them sound any good. It's just going to be a piece of wood and strings just sitting there. No good. So, that's my take. Is there a difference between the complete guitar system and Udemy and the UGS on your website, Richard? Yeah, I'll give you the short of it. The Unstoppable Guitar System has 2 live broadcasts that are private just to UGS folks every single month. Daily interaction from me. New material that goes up. Basically, I promise an hour of new material every month. Sometimes I'll skip a month and I'll follow it up with a much bigger program, like a $10 program or something like that. But nonetheless, that's what we do. So tons of amazing videos in there, way more than you're ever going to have in Udemy. So there's a lot of reasons. Otherwise, Richard, if you want more detail on that, search Udemy UGS, Your Guitar Sage. Search that on YouTube. It's an old video, but even back then, the Unstoppable Guitar System was much better. But now it's mammoth in size. It's just not even funny how big it is, okay? Man, we just got 2 donations. So kind, guys. I think this is we've never had this much. This is amazing. So kind. Y'all, thank you. We're going to be eating like kings. Okay, Scott Ellis, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And Harold Oren, man, bless you. Okay, so do you think vintage guitars are worth the hype? Daniel's saying. Well, Daniel, I have vintage guitars because I love the way they play, and there's just, to me, like mentally, it's probably psychological, but there's like a juju on them. The fact that this guitar was built and someone started playing it before I was, a flash in my daddy's eye. This guitar was alive, and that is cool. This guitar is older than me. It is wiser than me. I have a 69 here that was born the same year as I was. And I have just this special love for these vintage instruments. With that being said, you could take a 59 Les Paul. It's a $300,000 guitar, and it's not going to play 300 times better than a $1,000 Les Paul. But it's going to sound better, or it's subjective, right? It's subjective. One person will like it, one person won't. If they know that it's a 59, then everybody's going to say it sounds better. And if they don't know that, then they're going to be like, this one sounds better, but this one sounds better with this or whatever. So to me, if you don't have the money for a vintage instrument, no, it's not worth that, what you're thinking. It's not like it's going to be so much better. But they're also a great investment because they almost always go up in price. Mr. Redcoat saying, I learned as a classical guitar player years ago, but now want to pick for electric guitar. Having trouble beginning with speed and accuracy. Can you advise on the starting fundamental exercises? Mr. Redcoat, yes. I have something called a pick rest. I've got exercise 1, exercise 2, all in the free course. It would take 20 minutes to show you right now, and it still wouldn't be to the quality that the free course will give you, and that's just the link away. So Mr. Redcoat, watch that after this broadcast. It's totally free for everybody here. YourGuitarSage.com/30. Link for that's in the description of the video. Start there, and that's where I want you to go, okay? And we will and I'll show you exactly how to get this down. And guess what? It's just like anything else. Listen. When you just started brushing your teeth as a kid, I know this from my 3-year-old now. He's trying to brush his teeth. He's hitting his eye. He's missing. He's like, I can't get this, right? I start brushing my teeth with my left hand, and I'm like, dear God, I'm like all over the place. Because we're not wired that way because we haven't practiced that way. So whatever you practice is how you get wired. It's the only reason, okay? People think that there's just like hard wiring that's built into you. It's not. It's all about wiring yourself. So the reason you're not good at using your pick, is you haven't done it enough. That's all. What you think is enough and what is enough are two different things. What you think is enough is always going to be less than what it actually is. Okay? Just practice it till you get it. That's how much you need to do it. Okay, can you please play the last solo of Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, John Mayer? Oh, I love that song. Yeah, and I've opened the show up several times with that tune because it's so beautiful. I think I may have a video for that, but it's not about the solo. But I need to do a lesson on that. I have a book by Troy Statina that goes into heavy music, that goes heavy into music theory that I feel would take years to all sink in. How much music theory is too much? I love knowing how to create different moods in music. Evan, it's a great question, and here's the deal. This is how much to know. As a carpenter, you may have 30 tools that you'll use all the time, right? But most of us need to know how to use a hammer, a saw, and a measuring tape. Right? And if you know how to use those 3 things, you probably can take care of 80% of the job, okay? Because you'll have those things all the time. Maybe a square, something like that. So music theory is the same way. There's lots of music theory that one doesn't need to know right away. And in fact, they may never need to know it. And these books that go really deep into heavy are good, but they're good for like a reference manual. Because if you just sit down and you just study that, not that there's anything wrong with that. Some people have different minds that go into this. I don't know about you, but I don't read manuals. When I get a manual for a camera, a digital camera, I'm not like, oh, I'm going to sit down and read the manual. I jokingly say, when I used to do that all the time, I would read them from front to cover. And or front to back, and I found out that that's just not the way to do things, because you learn things in the moment. So, for instance, if I want to learn about the cage system and my mind's really not into it, why would I learn the cage system? Because I'm not really excited about it. My kid, who's 3 years old right now, supposedly at 3 years old, boys specifically aren't good at reading. Girls are at 3. Boys, they have to wait till they're like 5 or so. Something about their brain works differently than girls, okay? So, but 5 years old, a boy's brain is really set to learn how to read. So that's when you want to teach them best, right? At 3 years old, children are very attenuated to language and sounds and stuff like that. So if they're going to learn another language, that's the time to do it. So why not take advantage of this? I don't know about you guys, but I would love to have more time. Since there's only 24 hours in the day for all of us, we have to learn how to be better with our time, to hack and schedule and all these things, and to get better and pinpoint what it is that we want to do very quickly, right? So I say, learn the theory as you're going along. This is why in all my videos, 1,000-something videos that I have on YouTube, I teach you theory as we go along. I'm saying, okay, this song has a G, it's got a C, it's got a D, so that means we're in the key of G, and this is the 1, this is the 4, this is the 5, so we would use the G major scale, and I'll go into some theory like that because it's to point, right? If I was teaching you about something that had nothing to do with the song we were doing, you might lose it. But we're using it over and over again, just like a good vocabulary word. If you use it in a sentence right away a few times, chances are it will become part of you, as opposed to just learning a word, looking at the definition, pardon me, and then going, oh, that's what onomatopoeia means. And then not using the word, you're probably not going to remember it, okay? Okay, would I ever do a Spyro Gyra song like Havana Moonlight? Yeah, I'm not against it. There's just, I have a request list that's 1,000,000 miles long. How to learn country steel licks, harmonic chords, etc. Can you advise? Michael, I'm not the guy to do it. My advice to you would be to find someone who does that and do some searching on YouTube, and you're going to find guys that are doing it that are really good. When I say guys, I mean guys or girls. I just use that synonymously. I call my daughter bro, so need to learn country steel licks. That's what you want to do. Just look that up, you know what I mean? But a lot of them are major, like, you know, based off of the blues scale here. You know? So there's all sorts of things you can do that are within the major scale there that are going to sound the best. Justin gave $10. Any tips for a guitarist? And I will always see your question too. Any tips for a guitarist that always played in rock bands but now is joining a country band for the first time? Justin, that's a great question. And in Nashville, this is every day, because so many rock players come to Nashville, and you better learn how to play country if you want to gig, especially like on Broadway. You got to be playing country songs. So yes, here's exactly what I would tell you what to do, Justin. First off, you're joining a country band. You're going to have certain country songs that you're going to learn. Learn those songs. Learn them note for note. Just learn how to just copy at first. Because here's why. This morning I was having breakfast with my kid, okay? And my daughter, or my wife said something. She said, she was talking about a comedy show or something, and this person said this thing. And it was very animated when she said it. And when she said it, my little boy said, "Say it again. Say it again." And he must have said that 20 times. He wanted her to say it over and over and over and over again. Why? Because kids at that age are sponges, and they like certain cadences, certain things that we say. Music, the kid listens to Chopin and Nutcracker and stuff constantly because he loves the cadences and the way the music's moving. Well, we're the same way. And if you learn this stuff as if you're listening to someone speak like in a Southern accent or or a Scottish accent or something, you're trying to mimic them, the more you listen to them and then you go, well, I can do that. And then you do that with your mouth, right? You just imitate them. Takes some work sometimes, more for others than some. Then what's going to happen is you're going to be able to do that better. If you don't practice those country songs, you're not going to get better at playing country. And then what you want to do, Justin, is you want to learn the theory behind why it is that it sounds like this, okay? So if you're a rock player like me, you learn the blues scale, you learn the minor scale, and you're off to the races and you just learn licks, right? And there's not a lot of music theory that they teach you. So unfortunately, us rock players can be stunted if we don't delve down into these other realms. Justin, I would advise you to learn how to play major blues. You know, minor blues is what us rock guitar players do all the time, but it's not what country players play. They play major blues. And if you don't know how to play major blues and the inner workings of that, that's not just playing the major blues scale, by the way. It's learning how to phrase your licks according to the scales, or according to the chords. Learn that, Justin. Learn those licks in the songs. Learn as many country songs as possible, especially like the old school country songs that will establish a nice foundation for you. And you're going to see that so many of them are the same. It's not a mystery. Lots of 1-4-5, more modern country, 1-4-5 minor 6, that sort of thing, you know. How does a new band break out today? There are not many venues to play rock. Everyone wants rap. How does a band get noticed and popular in today's technical world? Larry, by being good. That's the only way. Be a kick-ass band, you're going to get noticed. Chances are, if you're not a kick-ass band, you're not going to get noticed, and it doesn't matter how much marketing you do or anything else. You know, there's a reason that viral videos go viral. They go viral because they become popular. And the populace determines what's popular, not the artist. So you can shoot for something being viral. You can try to follow a formula or something like that. But bottom line, if you're not just being honest with yourself and making good music, all the marketing isn't going to matter. And there's tons of artists now that are being found on social media because someone goes, holy cow, who are these people? They're amazing. And then they get a following, and then stuff starts happening. So, Larry, I would keep your head down. Get as good as you can at what it is that you want to do. Let people find you. There's nothing wrong with playing shows. Make sure that something's on social media. Get it out there somehow. But if something's good, it's going to catch on. If it's not good, we must swallow our pride and just go, maybe it's not up to par. I'm going to get better. And just keep saying I'm going to get better. That's truly the secret. What is your opinion on the guitar, the world guitar in today's music environment? What gives you hope and what gives you some concern? What is your opinion on world guitar in today's music? I'm not sure what you mean by that, James, but I don't know. I don't think about that too much, James. I just think about what I want to do in expressing myself on the guitar, and I let everything else. I just don't concern myself with where it's going or anything like that, You determine where it's going. Honestly, the artists determine where it's going if they're influential. Having trouble playing with good posture while sitting. Raymond, watch one of the first videos that are in the free course that I'm giving you today. Link is on YouTube and on Facebook. Instagram, you know where that's at. Same place. It's on Facebook and YouTube. It's in the description, YourGuitarSage.com/30. Go there because not only is it going to show you how to get these basics down and to build a solid foundation, but it's going to introduce you to some concepts that you have not, I promise you, have not been exposed to before. The cage system is one of the things that I teach inside the Unstoppable system. The cage system blew my mind when I learned it, and I remember you mentioned certain anchor chords to help keep track of where you are on the fretboard. Can you go over a few of these anchor spots? Sure. So here's the deal. So the cage system goes like this. Essentially, we're taking forms C, right? A, E, or C, A, G, E, D. See how those chords spell the word caged? C, A, G, E, D. And what the cage system says is that we can use all these forms further up the neck to play the same flavored chord, say a C chord, but we can play them with these different formations. What do you mean different formations, Eric? You mean different chords? No, I mean different formations. This is a chord, this is a chord. But I'm going to take this chord and I use this form, but I play it right here, up here where a C note is. Well, now I get another C chord. Or if I use an A form and I slide it up here, then I get an A form of a C chord. Right? So many different ways that one can do this. There's an E form of a C chord, okay? Because all these bass notes are C's. Now, with that being said, the question was, where are the toggles, right? That Evan was saying. Just remember 6th and 5th string. So if the 6th string has a C right here, well, I can play this chord, the E off of it, right? E formation. I can play the G formation, right? And I can play the D formation, which is down 2 strings up 2 frets. So here's the root note. I'm going to go down 1, 2, and up 1, 2. That I can play my D form off that. So I always think about the 6th and 5th string. So here's a C, here's a C. What 5th string root chords are major? C and A. So here's C, C form, C chord. Here's a C chord, A form. Right? Because here's the form, and I'm playing it in here. Make sense? Okay, so those are my toggles that I like to use. All right, great. Okay, and there went a bunch of questions. Went bye-bye. Okay, sorry. When you wake up in the morning, how do you know what guitar you are going to play that day? So Celeste, I switch back and forth all the time. The last few days I've been playing lots and lots of blues. So I've been using this. I've been using the BNG. Check these guys out online, my friend. BNG guitars. These guys make some beautiful custom instruments. They sent that one to me, and it's a nice blues machine. So and I've been playing the Strat a lot. I've been playing the Les Paul and the Tele, and because I've been just kind of going for this certain sound. So it depends on what I'm doing, Celeste. That's honestly the thing that determines that. So if I'm teaching an acoustic lesson, I'm obviously going to pick an acoustic up. My favorite is the SJ200. I have other ones here, but that's my go-to. And then if I'm going to play Van Halen, it's dropped down a half step, and it just got that screechy kind of Van Halen sound. Whereas my, and I was using that the other day because I was doing lots of bends. So I just picked up the Van Halen guitar just because it's dropped down a half step, a lot easier to bend, and my fingers were getting really, really sore. I've been just wearing out some blues lately here. Yeah, that's how I determine that. Okay. And many guitars during the day. I may play 4 guitars in a day. Probably not more than that, but that's typically what I'll do, 4 in a day, for different scenarios, Eric, sir, can I learn guitar and music production at the same time? Yes. What's your take on the Fender StageMaster versus the Stratocaster? Differences, likes, dislikes. Bob, I don't know. I have never had a StageMaster. I'm sorry. Okay, what are best scales to learn if I want to play primarily country and classic rock? Okay, Charles. So Charles said minor pentatonics, and that's one of them indeed. It's a great answer, Charles. So John, major and minor pentatonic or major minor blues. Okay, major and minor blues are really, really good. You got to learn major pentatonic or major blues if you're going to be playing country music, at least if you're going to be improvising. Otherwise, you're just learning licks from other people, and that's what they're doing. So in essence, you're learning those licks in those formations. But if you want to improvise and get good at that, that's what I suggest doing. Okay. And that's a real general statement, because unless you have somebody walking you through it like I do in my courses, you're kind of out there on your own. That's why I do this for a living, because I'm helping people get to where it is that they want to get to. So that's kind of my job. That's what I've been called to do, I feel, Okay. Oh, thank you, Ak. So kind, my friend. Thank you, thank you. Okay, sweet. What do you think about Epiphone Les Paul Special Vintage Edition electric guitars? I think that Epiphone, as a rule, as a company, make some really good guitars. So I dig them, and they're great for the money. Oh, can you give some advice about starting guitar at 25? Any chance I can be a pro? I can be a pro. Indeed. I've seen guitar players become better in 2 years than some guitar players in 40 years because they were practicing the right stuff. Friends, I talk about this all the time. Information's information. The blues scale is the blues scale, whether you're learning it from me or Marty or Justin or Papa, or it doesn't matter who. The blues scale is the blues scale. But the way that you learn things, in the order that you learn things, with the personality or whatever that helps you the best, that's who you want to go with. That's how you want to learn, and learning what not to focus on is as important as learning what to focus on, because you're going to be distracted by all the millions of videos that are on YouTube that are going to teach you how to play guitar, and it may not be what you need for what it is that you're looking for. In the free course, I have something about like how to practice guitar. It's one of the last videos, and I ask a question about like, well, what's your why? Why is it that you're practicing guitar? Because understanding that is so important. If you want to be a studio player, that's totally different than somebody who wants to be a campfire guitar player. A rock guitar player is totally different than a blues guitar player. Not totally, but somewhat. And a country player is altogether different, and jazz player is different. So what it is that you want to become, or that you are becoming now, that you want to become better at, is going to determine what it is that you should be practicing, okay? And that is number one. Otherwise, you're just practicing stuff. Now, with that being said, the free course, that's why I have that free course there, is because whether you're going into jazz guitar, studio guitar, rock guitar, blues guitar, neoclassical, doesn't matter. Every single guitar player in the history of the world, on the planet Earth and throughout the universe, needs to know those 30 lessons, because there's nobody that doesn't do those things. Things like your posture, like how to find a guitar, like how to pick correctly, like how to hold your hand correctly. These are all things that we use all the time. We pick, we strum, we finger the guitar, right? Those are things that every guitar player does, and if you don't have those basics down, then you can't stack on top of that. So that's what the free course is all about. It gets you, 80% of the stuff that you're going to be using for the rest of your life, 90% of the stuff you're going to be using for the rest of your life on guitar, without the stuff that you're not going to use, okay? All right, good. What music editing software would you recommend for a beginner? I like Logic. That's what I'm using. I used to use Pro Tools and no more. I went through a good decade of hating Pro Tools. And now I'm on Logic, and I don't record as much as I used to now, but when I do, it's super duper easy. Did you have 9-gauge strings on the EVH? Yeah, they're 9 through 46, so it's kind of a mixed gauge, right? So typically a heavy set of 10s is going to go 10 through 46. A light gauge of 10s will be 10 through 42. So for 9s to go to 46, that's like light on the light strings and heavy on the heavy strings. It's going to kind of gradiate, if you will. What do I think about the new Fender Acousonic guitars? I haven't seen that. I need to check that out. Where's Vince Gill? Marcos, you missed him. Vince was not here, Marcos. I had a story about Vince. I hope you didn't think that I was going to have Vince here today. I had Vince on before. I've always been an electric guitar guy, but I bought a Martin acoustic last year, and I felt a sense of freedom by dropping the amp. Do you think the amp and search of tones can be too distracting? Indeed. That's why I always suggest for folks to, they say, should I start on the acoustic or the electric? I hear the electric's easier. Well, the devil's in the details. The electric is typically easier to press the strings down, okay? Typically, but not always. Depends on the guitar, depends on the electric, depends on the acoustic. But what is easier is on the acoustic, you can just pick it up and play. You don't have to plug anything in, put on headphones, set things up, plug things in, get amps up, get pedals up, do this, do that, crap, I need a tube, all this other stuff that comes along with electric guitars. Okay, electric guitars are fun. I got lots of them. I got lots of amps. I'm willing to deal with the pressure. But as far as just picking up an acoustic guitar and playing, there's nothing like that, and you can just focus on playing. So truly, I think an acoustic guitar is a lot less distracting. Tips on playing guitar while standing. Yes, Raymond, do it. The only way to get good at standing and playing guitar is to stand and play guitar. There's no exercise to do. You just play guitar while standing. Also, make sure that your strap is not too low, because if you're way down here and you're not, your hand is compromised, like I talk about in the free program, if your thumb is up here over the top of the neck, it's fine for pro players, people that have been doing it for a while. But if you're a newbie and your thumb's over the neck, kiss of death. You might as well just put the guitar down, because you're going to have a real difficult time playing chords. Get thumb behind the back of the neck, and if your guitar is too far down, it's not going to allow you to do so. So make sure that it's not too far down, probably around your belt buckle or up, okay? That's what I would suggest. But if you want to get good at standing and playing, stand and play. It's the only way to do it. Why do so many artists use one set of musicians when on the road and another in the studio? Great question. I've seen live shows and been disappointed in that the artist's studio albums due to the difference. Okay, well, here's the deal. Because, number one, most studio players have taken a time to get to that status. So in Nashville, I can tell you, and this is true pretty much in LA, New York, and what have you too, you cut your teeth on live gigs because you're dealing with late hours, you're dealing with lugging a bunch of equipment, you're talking about low prices because if you're going to be doing a show on the road, like Taylor Swift, and you've got a stadium of 26,000 people at $500 a ticket, that guitar player is going to make a ton of money, not as much as Taylor, but she's going to pay her guitar players a lot of money, thousands of dollars a night. If you're playing on, downtown Broadway, if you're making $50 or $100 a night, then you should count yourself happy, because you got people walking in for free. They're buying a beer, and you got 50 of those people instead of 26,000. So what happens is you got to pay your dues. So the starting guys start there doing that, paying your dues, getting better and better. And then eventually you get on a tour, and now you're getting paid more, and you're the better musician, that sort of thing. Now, as far as the studio, that's a whole nother thing too, because now you've got players who have been really trying to be a studio player. So they're saying, I can't go on the road anymore. I've got to focus on being a studio player. And those players have typically, the good ones do, the guys that are called all the time, have really, really good equipment. They always show up on time. They're not drunk. They don't have attitudes. They shut up and play their guitar. They do what the producer says. They know how to read. They get along well with the other musicians. They know them. They know the lingo. They can read charts, all this other stuff, okay? But again, here we go. We got studio players that have to know all that stuff really well. If you, as a player on the road, you just need to be able to play the guitar the way the studio player did, okay? So two different skill levels of what is needed there. Just because someone can play guitar, okay, just because they could rip out a song from another player doesn't mean that they're going to be really good at improvisation and being good in the studio. Whole nother skill set of thinking. This is why I go into the theory with you guys, because I can just show you how to play a song. We can do that all day long, and I do that in thousands of videos. But I would also rather make you an independent player so that you can think for yourself, so that when I play a blues track before I go on here, you can sit there and whittle away with it and know exactly what you're doing, and not just be like, well, I don't know what to do. Make you independent. So that's why you're going to see a difference between those two. Studio players don't have time to go on the road. Because if they get that call to be playing in the studio for Vince Gill, and they're like, sorry, I'm playing out with so-and-so, they're not going to get that call again. They're going to get the next guy, and that next guy is going to start getting the gig all the time because the competition's high, right? What are my thoughts on Squier Strats? They're fine. You know, they are fine. They're not like an American Strat, but they'll do, you know? Okay, I want to open the show with some live drone feed from Atina's Costa Rica. Ooh, I would love that. Okay, love it. All right, I'm going to bounce over to Facebook here really quick in just a moment here. I'm going to get to a couple of questions here, and then I'll bump back over, yeah. Okay, yeah, give a man a fish or teach him to fish. Yes, exactly. I would like to teach you how to do these things instead of just show you a lick every time. That taps me out because I can only answer so many people. But if I can instill these bits and pieces in you, then if I can teach you how to learn, then boom, you're off to the races and you're learning tons of stuff and you're teaching other people, and the world's a happier place, right? Otherwise, you're constantly coming back to me like a drug dealer, right? We don't want to do that. I want to make you independent, right? Okay, do you recommend a wireless system? I recommend a wireless system if you don't like wires. Yes, I think they're cool, and they surprisingly keep your sound, keep your tone up to par. When you play songs for people, do they always expect you to sing too, Eric? I can carry a tune somewhat, but I'm not a singer per se. Do you talk about singing to accompany the guitar in UGS? Yes, I do, Evan. I definitely talk about that, how to sing and play at the same time. And some people, yes, they expect you to sing at the same time. I don't know who these people are that think, oh, hey, play the first album for Rolling Stones. Well, number one, that you would know the whole album, and number two, that you'd be able to play it and sing it at the same time. People do this a lot of times. They just expect because you can play an instrument that you can just poop out songs without ever having practiced them or heard them or anything else. I don't know where this comes from, but people think that. Probably part of the whole myth about, oh, you were born a musician. So, man, I wish I were like you. I wish I didn't have to practice and just become a musician. There's no such thing, okay? All right, so here we go. I'm bumping over to Facebook. Ready? Here we go. I'm learning 6 months now to accompany myself to sing. Dina is saying, I can make the chords I need, but not always on time. Should I pause in order to make the chord correctly or make a stab at it in order to keep the time? Great question, Dina. So you definitely want to play the chord on time. Here's what you do. Leave the other chord earlier. Okay, seriously, leave the other chord earlier. If there's going to be a hole in your playing, it needs to be on the end of the last chord instead of on the one of the chord. Everybody's going to miss that. They're not going to miss you leaving the chord earlier, okay? I talk about this in detail inside the Unstoppable Guitar System, and I believe I cover it even in the free course. So YourGuitarSage.com/30. Dina, start there. That's honestly going to get you there. I talk about this. It's called transitions, and I show you how to do this as well. Can I recommend a good wireless system? I love the Line 6. I had the last wireless system I had was one of those. Fantastic. Loved it. Great. No complaints at all. Check them out. Line 6. They've got a great wireless system. When you tune by ear, how do you know the sixth string when you start tuning is in tune? Carlos, you don't. The only way to know it is to find something that's in tune, tune your sixth string or some other string to it, and then tune the rest of the guitar to that. Does that make sense? So we need a reference. We need a benchmark. So there's no way to know what the temperature of something is unless you've got a gauge, right? Unless you have a thermometer. If we need to know what A440 is, right? Well, that's it, right? And if we don't have our guitar tuned to that, or that string tuned to that, then us tuning the strings to a string that's out of tune is going to make a guitar that's in tune with itself, but not in tune with standard tuning, which is not a big deal if you're just playing by yourself. But if another musician walks in, they're tuned to standard tuning and you're tuned half step low or in some other tuning, some subdivision of that, a quarter tone down, that's not going to sound very good, okay? So you definitely want to make sure that your whole guitar is tuned to itself at least, but then if you're tuning it to itself, you got to make sure that the reference tone that you're referring to is in tune, okay? Otherwise your guitar won't be in tune to everybody else. Cool? All right. That's a great question. Okay. Gibson or Taylor? Just depends on what you want. There's not one that's better. It's what's better for you. What about connecting scales? Brandon, what about it? Do it. You know, if this is a scale, earlier I was playing some blues, right? So I've got the form 1 of the minor blues scale. If I wanted to go into form 2, so I just kind of slide into it. Now you're going to have to practice that a little bit, but basically it's almost like you're in one room in the house. When you're in that one room, you're not thinking about the next room, but then what happens is you start walking into the hallway into the other room, and as you're walking into the hallway of the other room, you're forgetting about this last room and you're starting to think about the next room, and then once you're in the room, you're in that room. And that's how you can think about these forms. You're in this form right now. I'm not thinking about other forms. Unless I'm thinking, hey, in a minute here, I'm going to go play that lick, so kind of mentally get prepared for it, right? When I was playing that thing in G major blues, right? I went to well, in order for me to pop that note up there, I'm going to be thinking, well, what note is it that I want to play? I'm not just randomly grabbing a note. So there is a bit of thinking ahead of time sometimes, but the only way to get good at it is to do it, right? Well, as we talked about that. The only way to get good at something is to do that thing. You can think about an exercise or something for it, but why not just do the thing that you're having a problem with? That's how to get there the quickest way. Don't waste your time. I mean, exercises are good. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a whole system that has exercises. That's literally to get you to think outside the box and just to move without thinking, okay? Move your fingers. Otherwise, get to doing what it is you want to do, you know? Okay. Still looking on here on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Facebook. Do you know a good practice tube amp that is compatible with headphones? Most tubes I see do not have headphone jacks for quiet practice at night. No, I don't know of any that have them. I'm sure that there are some that do, but the whole point is that you're driving these speakers, right? With tubes, which is very loud. So solid state, we can kind of attenuate that. I don't know if there is a system that runs that tube sound through the headphones. I'm sure there is, but I've never seen it. So no, I don't know of that, Evan. I would get a solid state for doing that, you know, or just turn the tube amp way down. Okay, good. All right, great. I'm popping back over to, man, we got 47 people on Facebook. Huh, that's cool. All right, I'm just gonna get to a few more questions, my friends, and then we are, and then I'm gonna end it. Okay. JR is saying Kemper is teasing a cabinet for the NAMM show. Whoa, nice. Yeah, they aren't cheap, but you can get so many tones. Well, JR, and if you know, that's what I'm using as a Kemper now, and I'm using the Friedman profiling enclosure or amp, and it's full range, and it sounds beautiful, and I absolutely love it. Okay, I just started to learn, but haven't bought one. What would you recommend, a jumbo or ones with smaller sound box? It just depends. Watch the video that I have. Watch videos 1 and 2 in the free course, because that answer it takes about 10 minutes to answer. And I've got that answer for you, and it's pre-recorded already. So check that out, YourGuitarSage.com/30, okay? That will help out a ton, okay? Oh, here's a tube amp that has a headphone jack, the Vox MV50. James is saying. Great. Thank you, James. Listen to this. Your home phone dial is A440 if you still have a phone. Huh. Look at that. I think I've heard that before. Do I use in-ear monitors for live performances? I don't, Daniel. I use, because I'm not playing out live enough. If I was in a really cool band and we were playing out all the time, I might do that, but I don't. So I just use the floor monitors. Joe Walsh story next week. I wish. I don't have any Joe Walsh stories except that he's really cool. All right. Okay, friends, I think that's where we're going to stop. That's an hour and a half in. We got some good questions answered here. You guys have rocked it. Friends, if you haven't already, please share it. I see that 31 people have shared this on Facebook already. And by sharing, you're letting us know here, me, Chris, Mike's in the other room, Jason's in Florida. We got a whole team that are doing this now because we really want to make a quality show for you guys. We're not jerking around at this. We really want to make a quality show, and it's important that we do not waste your time. It's important that we provide lots of value to you. So I appreciate that. And one way that you can appreciate us is to share this. 34 shares now on Facebook. Thank you so much. If Instagram's still watching, which I don't think you are, you go away in an hour, please share there. If there's a way on YouTube to at least like it, but please share it as well. Here's the deal. If you can't share it on YouTube, go over to Facebook and share it, because we award, each week we do this, friends, we award a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System /365. We do this all the time. Did 5 of them last week. UGS is $400. If you just got into 365, that's a $79 value. So we literally do that every single week. Your chances of winning, if you follow these videos and you participate, are really, really high. Okay, because we give so much stuff away. So do it. Start it now and increase your chances of winning. You may not win today. Chances are you won't win today, but that's only chances, okay? You do it enough time, chances are you are going to win. All right, my friends, thank you so much for this. Do not forget to check out the free course. It's there for you because I got so many questions on YouTube that it was nearly impossible. Well, it's impossible for me to get to any of them if I'm going to do live shows, if I'm going to build guitars, if I'm going to build pedals, if I'm going to do videos and everything else. There has to be something where you guys go that I can walk you through it step by step by step. It's absolutely free. That's it right there, YourGuitarSage.com/30. Go there now. Link is in the description of the video on Facebook and YouTube. First 30 lessons that you're going to learn from me. And you could come to Nashville and do this and spend lots and lots and lots of money and lots of time. Or you literally click on the link and have the same dude in the same studio teach you for absolutely free and at your disposal. There's PDFs in there. You're going to see other people's questions where they're asking me these questions. You get in there and ask me questions, not just here. Do it in the free program there, and I'm going to help you out. Okay, what else? We got another live broadcast coming out soon. I'll let you know more about it. We're gonna be announcing some stuff about the guitar soon. Same thing with the pedal. It's coming close, my friends. And is there anything else? I don't think so. The swag store, shopygs.com. You can get mugs, you can get the shirts. Did you see the shirts yesterday? They're awesome. All that good stuff. For everybody that donated today, thank you so much. We had what's that? $85. What? We're gonna massively eat some food today until we gorge ourselves. No, we're not gonna do that. But we'll have some for another day. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. All right, share it. Free program. I'm out of here. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.